Get out. You don't belong here! Brad Morrison's fist smashed into Sam Walker's face. The 72-year-old veteran staggered back. Coffee splashed onto the floor. Quarters scattered. Know your place, old man, Brad spat, towering over him. Sam touched his burning cheek. His silver cross necklace slipped into view as the diner lights caught it. The room went dead silent. Phones came out. Recording started. To any bystander, it looked simple. A bully attacking a helpless elderly Christian. Sam seemed defenseless, worn cardigan, counting change. An easy target, wrong. Hidden beneath that cardigan was a Purple Heart. And in his phone was a contact. James Walker, director of Homeland Security. Maria, the waitress, knew the truth. That idiot has no clue, she whispered. Sam pulled out his phone. His hands didn't shake. Old military training runs deep. Brad Morrison had just slapped the father of one of the most powerful men in America. Federal backup was one call away. Hit subscribe. This bully is about to learn what real power looks like. 30 minutes earlier. Murphy's diner buzzed with typical Tuesday morning energy. Steam rose from coffee pots. Local farmers filled booths, trading talk about crops and weather. The smell of bacon and hash browns wrapped the room in small-town comfort. Maplewood, population 3,847, a place where everyone claimed to know everyone. Sam Walker pushed through the glass door at exactly 7:30, just like every Tuesday for the last 3 years. His ritual never changed. Black coffee, wheat toast, exact change from a worn leather wallet. The elderly Christian moved with quiet dignity, his navy cardigan neat, though clearly aged. Maria Santos looked up from behind the counter and smiled. She'd memorized his order years ago. "Morning, Mr. Walker." The usual. "Please, Maria, thank you." She poured his coffee black, no sugar, no cream. Simple man, simple needs, or so it seemed. What most missed were the subtle signs. The way Sam sat with his back to the wall, always scanning the exits. The careful way he folded his napkin. The polished American flag pin on his collar beside a gleaming cross, both arranged with military precision. His phone buzzed. A text. "Dad, big cabinet meeting today. Love you, James." Sam smiled, typed slowly with one finger. "Proud of you, son. Be safe." Across the diner, Brad Morrison slouched in his usual booth, scrolling on his phone. His construction crew uniform looked clean, but his attitude didn't. He'd been coming to Murphy's for 2 years, ever since new developments brought different types into town. Brad's eyes locked on Sam. The old man's quiet prayer before sipping coffee, the way he fingered his cross necklace, the murmured amen before eating his toast. Everything about Sam Walker seemed to set Brad's teeth on edge. "Don't know why they let Bible thumpers sit in here these days," Brad muttered to his companion, loud enough for others to hear. The businessman at the next table shifted uncomfortably. Mrs. Patterson, the mayor's wife, glanced up from her paper with a frown. No one spoke. They never did. Maria's jaw tightened. She'd watched this pattern for months. Brad's remarks were getting bolder, meaner. The jokes had turned into insults. She thought about complaining to the manager, but Brad was a regular. Regulars tipped well. Money talked louder than dignity in small-town diners. Outside, college student Tommy Carter was setting up his camera for a journalism project. His assignment: document real small-town America. He chose Murphy's for its authenticity. An ordinary diner, everyday people. He had no idea he was about to capture history. The diner's security camera blinked. Installed after a string of thefts, it was about to record something far more valuable. Sam's phone buzzed again, a news alert about federal grants for local emergency response programs. He read it carefully, then deleted it. Old habits from his son's world. Meanwhile, Brad grew restless. His breakfast buddy had left. Now it was just time to kill before work, and an old Christian man who embodied everything Brad thought was wrong with his town. The morning crowd thinned. Farmers left for the fields. Office workers drove off. Soon, only the regulars lingered. And one old man, blissfully unaware that his peaceful Tuesday morning was seconds away from being shattered, Maria glanced at her phone. A text from her cousin outside. getting great footage of authentic small-town life. This place is perfect. She looked out the window and waved. Tommy waved back, camera rolling. Neither knew they were about to be witnesses to an assault that would spread nationwide before sundown. At 7:47, Tommy adjusted his lens for the perfect shot of Americana. By 7:45, Brad's patience was gone. The old man's quiet presence, the visible cross around his neck, his bowed head, it made Brad boil. Brad stood, boots clanging against the linoleum. He crossed the diner, dragging every gaze in the room. Sam looked up as the shadow fell. "Morning," Sam said politely. "You seem real comfortable here," Brad said loud enough for all to hear. "Real comfortable for someone who doesn't belong." The diner froze. Forks paused midair. Maria's hand slid toward her phone. "I'm sorry?" Sam asked. "This ain't your kind of place, old man. Makes decent folks uncomfortable seeing your type around, waving that cross pretending you belong here." Mrs. Patterson shifted uneasily. Fire Chief Rodriguez stiffened. No one moved. Sam had faced worse than schoolyard bullies. This wasn't about fists. It was about dignity, the right to exist in peace. "I'm just having coffee," Sam said quietly. "I'm not bothering anyone." "That's where you're wrong." Brad leaned closer. "Your being here bothers me. Bothers a lot of good people." Outside, Tommy Carter's camera captured every word. He'd started filming local color. Now he was documenting something much darker. The security camera recorded everything with perfect clarity. Audio, video, timestamps that would later become crucial evidence. Sam reached for his wallet to leave, but Brad's hand slammed down on the table. "Don't walk away when I'm talking to you." Coffee sloshed. Quarters rattled onto the floor. "Sir, please," Sam said softly. "I don't want trouble." "Trouble?" Brad barked out a laugh without warmth. "Old man, you are the trouble. Sitting here with your cross, mumbling prayers like you own the place." Maria pulled out her phone and started recording. She'd stayed silent too long. Rodriguez half stood, torn between duty and fear. Mrs. Patterson looked around frantically. Sam rose slowly, and despite his age, his military bearing radiated. Something in that posture made Brad hesitate for just a breath. "I'm leaving now," Sam said with quiet dignity. But Brad wasn't finished. He'd started this show in front of an audience. His pride wouldn't let him back down. He shifted sideways, blocking Sam's path to the door. "You'll leave when I say you can leave." It was physical intimidation, public humiliation, witnessed by dozens and recorded by multiple cameras. Brad Morrison had crossed a line that would wreck his life. At 7:52 a.m., Tommy Carter zoomed in, his journalism training recognizing the weight of the moment. He had no idea he was capturing evidence federal investigators would be combing through within hours. Sam Walker stood trapped between the table and Brad's bulk. The construction worker's chest puffed out, feeding off the silence of the room. This was his stage, his chance to humiliate a Christian man with an audience watching. "Please move," Sam said, his voice steady. "Make me, old man." Brad's lips twisted into a sneer. "What are you going to do? Kneel and pray me away? Call your preacher?" The anti-Christian taunt cut sharp. Sam's jaw tightened, but his discipline held. Never escalate. Never give them an excuse. But Brad wasn't looking for excuses anymore. "You church people think you can just waltz in anywhere," Brad said, voice rising. "Think your God gives you the right to belong. Well, this is my town, and I decide who belongs." Sam stepped to the left, trying to move around. Brad shifted to block him. "I said you're not leaving." That's when Brad shoved him hard. Sam stumbled backward into the table. His hip cracked against the edge. Coffee cups shattered on the floor, the sound exploding like gunfire in the tense diner. "Hey!" Fire Chief Rodriguez finally stood. That's enough, but Brad was just getting started. The shove had thrilled him. The power, the control, the look of shock on the old Christian's face. He wanted more. "Mind your own business, Rodriguez," Brad snapped without breaking his glare. "Unless you want a sermon, too." Maria lifted her phone higher, her hands trembling but the camera steady. "Stop it, Brad. He's done nothing wrong." "Shut up, Maria. You want to keep your job? Then stay out of this." The threat shut her mouth, but not her recording. Sam tried to steady himself. At 72, a hard shove could mean a broken hip, worse. But what burned more than the pain was the humiliation. The way every eye in the diner watched him be degraded for his faith. "Now you're going to apologize," Brad demanded, "for making decent folks uncomfortable with your prayers and your cross." "I apologize if my presence upset you," Sam said quietly. "But I've done nothing wrong." Wrong answer. Brad's face reddened with rage. "If you upset me, you arrogant—" The slap came without warning. Brad's open hand cracked across Sam's cheek with brutal force. The sound cracked through the diner like a gunshot. Sam's head snapped sideways. His cross necklace caught the light as he staggered. Silence. Then chaos. "Jesus Christ!" Rodriguez roared, moving forward. "Oh my God!" Mrs. Patterson gasped. "You bastard!" Maria screamed. Outside, Tommy's camera zoomed tighter. Inside, Maria's phone caught the perfect angle. Overhead, the security system recorded it all in pristine high definition. Sam's hand went to his burning cheek. Blood trickled where Brad's ring had split the skin. For a moment, the elderly Christian veteran looked exactly like Brad wanted him to appear, helpless, humiliated. Then his posture changed. His shoulders squared, his chin rose. 72 years of discipline, faith, and military training surged back into place. "You just made a serious mistake," Sam said quietly. Brad barked a laugh. "Yeah? What are you going to do about it, Grandpa?" "Quote me a Bible verse?" Sam reached into his pocket, not for a weapon, but for his phone. "I'm going to call my son." "Your son?" Brad cackled. "What's he going to do? Sing me a hymn?" Sam scrolled through his contacts. The first name on the list, James Walker, Director, Homeland Security. Brad Morrison was too drunk on adrenaline and anti-Christian hatred to notice. He was performing for his audience, demanding an encore no one wanted. "Hit me back, old man," Brad shouted. "Come on, show everyone what your God really makes you." Rodriguez stepped closer. "Brad, stop this right now." "For what?" Brad spun toward him. "What are you going to do, arrest me? For teaching some preacher boy respect?" That's when Sam dialed. The phone rang once, twice, then a voice answered. "Dad, is everything okay?" The diner froze. Something in that voice, sharp authority, immediate concern, cut through the room. This wasn't some distant nephew. This was someone important. "James," Sam said calmly. "I'm fine, but there's been an incident." Brad Morrison's laughter caught in his throat. "Dad, are you hurt?" "Where are you? I can have agents there in 20 minutes. The voice carried through the speaker, crisp and commanding. Everyone in Murphy's diner heard it. Every phone camera caught it. The overhead security system archived every word. Brad's face drained of color. "Agents?" he whispered. "No, son," Sam said into the phone. His tone was steady, almost too calm. "I'm not seriously injured. But I wanted you to hear this directly before it hits the news. Before it hits the news." "Dad, what happened?" "Who hurt you?" Sam turned, his eyes fixed on Brad Morrison, who only moments ago had been an unstoppable storm, now frozen like a statue. "A man named Brad Morrison just assaulted me at Murphy's diner in Maplewood. It's all on video." The silence in the diner grew suffocating. "Sir," Maria said carefully, stepping closer. Is that really your son?" Sam nodded. "James Walker, Director of Homeland Security." Fire Chief Rodriguez slapped his forehead. "Dear God, Brad, do you have any idea what you just did?" Mrs. Patterson gasped loud enough to echo. "The James Walker?" "Dad, I'm sending a protective detail immediately," James's voice boomed from the phone. "And our legal division will need statements from every witness." The word legal hit Brad like an avalanche. His mouth opened and shut without sound. His heavy ring suddenly felt like shackles. His expensive watch ticked too loud in his ears. "Oh," he whispered. "Oh, God!" Maria's live stream numbers skyrocketed. 50, 200, 800, then 3,000 viewers in seconds. Comments poured across the screen. "OMG, is that Homeland Security's dad? Brad Morrison's life is over. Screenshot everything. Federal prison incoming." Outside, Tommy Carter nearly dropped his camera. He'd thought he was filming small-town intolerance. Instead, he'd captured an assault on the father of one of the most powerful men in America. "Dad, are local authorities there yet?" James asked sharply. "Not yet," Sam replied. But Fire Chief Rodriguez is here. He saw it all. Rodriguez stepped forward, pale. Mr. Walker, I witnessed everything. Brad Morrison assaulted you unprovoked. Brad finally found his voice cracking with panic. Wait! This is just a misunderstanding. No harm done, right, Sam? I mean, Mr. Walker, sir. Sam studied the man who had spat on his faith 5 minutes ago, who mocked his prayers, shoved him, slapped him in front of a room full of people. The harm, Sam said quietly, was done when you decided my cross made me less worthy of respect. When you assumed I didn't belong. I didn't know, Brad stammered. I didn't know who your son was. And that makes it acceptable? Sam asked. Brad's face crumpled. Reality was crashing down. He hadn't just bullied an old man. He had assaulted the father of the director of Homeland Security, on camera. Tommy Carter's hands trembled as he uploaded the raw footage to YouTube. He typed, "Shocking assault. Christian veteran attacked. Director of Homeland Security's father." The video would hit 50,000 views before the hour was up. Dad? James's voice pressed through the phone. Federal investigators will be involved. Not because of who I am, but because this was a civil rights violation. Brad collapsed into a chair. His construction uniform clung to his sweat. His skin had gone gray. I'm sorry, he whispered. I'm so sorry. You didn't mean what? Sam's voice was firm, unwavering. You didn't mean to assault me if you knew I had powerful connections, but you were fine doing it when you thought I was powerless. The truth hit the room like a gavel. This wasn't about mistaken identity. It was about character, who you are when you believe no one important is watching. Within 30 minutes, the incident was flagged by federal investigators, but Brad's reckoning had already begun. 20 minutes later, Sheriff Patricia Hayes strode into Murphy's diner, her body camera recording every second. She knew Sam Walker as a quiet regular. She knew Brad Morrison as a loud-mouthed contractor who rubbed elbows with local politicians. And in that moment, the political calculations began. Morning. Sam. Sheriff Patricia Hayes surveyed the diner, taking in the shattered coffee cups, the witnesses still holding their phones, the air so heavy with tension it seemed to vibrate. Heard there was an incident. Maria stepped forward, phone still recording. Sheriff, Brad Morrison assaulted Mr. Walker. I've got it all on video. Hayes reviewed the footage on Maria's phone. Her expression hardened as she watched Brad sneer, the shove, the slap, the words dripping with contempt for Sam's cross and his prayers. Brad, Hayes said evenly, I'm going to need a statement. Sam, do you want to press charges? Sam considered carefully. I want this documented properly. Whatever happens next should follow the law. Outside, the first news van pulled up. Then another. Tommy Carter's video had already hit 100,000 views. The hashtag My Maplewood Diner was trending regionally. From City Hall, Mayor Thompson's call lit up Hayes' phone. Patricia, can we handle this quietly? Tourism season starts next month. Bad publicity could hurt the whole town. Hayes lowered her voice. Tom, this is the director of Homeland Security's father. There's no handling this quietly. Jesus Christ. How bad is it? Bad enough I'm expecting federal investigators by lunch. The real estate agent, who'd been quietly eating breakfast, slipped out the back door. Already texting his developer clients, property values are about to nosedive. Pull all Maplewood listings. On the radio, host Mike Stevens cut into regular programming. Folks, we're getting reports of an incident at Murphy's Diner. Details are unclear, but both parties claim to be victims of a misunderstanding. The spin machine had started. By 9:30, black SUVs rolled into downtown. Not for Sam, but for security assessment. Standard protocol when a cabinet member's family was involved in any public confrontation. By 10 a.m., regional news tickers ran with it. Alleged assault at small-town diner involves family member of high-ranking federal official. Local defenders insisted the matter was blown out of proportion by outsiders. Federal civil rights investigators were reportedly en route to Maplewood. Town began dividing into sides. Team Justice surged quickly. Maria's Instagram following exploded from 800 to 15,000. Regional faith and veterans groups made calls. National Christian advocacy organizations issued statements of outrage. The hashtag Respect Our Elders caught fire. Team deflection dug in online. Local Facebook groups filled with comments. Small-town values under attack. Political correctness gone mad. This was just a dispute blown up by agitators. Brad Morrison, coached by his hastily retained lawyer, released a statement through the Maplewood Gazette. I sincerely regret any misunderstanding that occurred this morning. Mr. Walker is a valued member of our community. Sometimes tensions run high, and words get taken out of context. No mention of the slap. No mention of mocking Sam's faith. No apology. The hollow words only fueled the fire. Sam declined most interview requests, but gave a short statement to the regional news. This isn't about my son's position in government. It's about how we treat one another, whether we judge people by their character or by their faith. His dignity in the face of open hostility sent the story viral faster. By noon, security experts analyzed the diner footage. The evidence was unmistakable. Premeditated assault, faith-based harassment, clear violation of civil rights protections. Sheriff Hayes stood in an impossible position. She couldn't bury this. Too many cameras, too much momentum. But she also couldn't risk alienating the local power brokers who funded her re-election. Her official statement was measured, careful. The investigation is ongoing. All parties are cooperating. We take any allegations of assault seriously. Translation: buying time, hoping the storm would pass. It wouldn't. By mid-afternoon, Murphy's corporate headquarters issued their own statement. We do not condone discrimination or violence of any kind. We are investigating the incident. Brad's lawyer tried to spin again. My client maintains his innocence. The video is taken out of context and does not reflect the full situation. But no context excused mocking an old man's prayers, shoving him and slapping him across the face. By 2 p.m., Tommy Carter's footage had surged to 500,000 views. The comments were a battlefield. The local story had become a national symbol. Within 48 hours, federal civil rights investigators arrived in Maplewood. Agent Sarah. Carter led the team, not because of James Walker's position, but because the diner video had triggered automatic hate crime review protocols. What they uncovered shocked the town. This wasn't an isolated outburst. It was a pattern. Agent Carter spread case files across the conference table at the sheriff's department. Each folder represented a victim, a story, and the same ugly truth. March 2024. Elderly Christian man accused of shoplifting at Maplewood Grocery. Security footage later proved his innocence, but not before he was humiliated and banned from the store for proselytizing to customers. January 2024. Christian. Family questioned at the community center during their daughter's basketball game. Police were called after they bowed their heads in prayer before tip-off. November 2023. A Christian veteran challenged at the voting booth, required to show additional proof of citizenship despite valid credentials after officials claimed church activists were trying to sway local elections. September 2023. 2 Christian college students reported as suspicious for holding a Bible study in the public library after dark. Every incident involved believers. Every incident involved public humiliation. Every incident had been dismissed as a misunderstanding. Carter's team uncovered something deeper: a digital paper trail. Email chains between city council members discussed tourism concerns and problems caused by visible religious groups. Private Facebook groups with names like Heritage, First Maplewood, and Citizens for Traditional Values coordinated harassment campaigns. Local business owners quietly agreed to make openly Christian patrons feel unwelcome. The money trail was damning. Brad Morrison had donated $5,000 to the Maplewood Business Development Fund. That fund lobbied for enhanced security measures. Downtown, cameras and patrols that just happened to target areas near churches and Christian bookstores. Financial records showed a deliberate economic squeeze. 3 Christian-owned businesses had shuttered in 18 months. Property values dropped, letting developers tied to officials swoop in. This wasn't random bigotry. It was systematic exclusion for profit. Social media excavation revealed Brad's unfiltered thoughts. His history brimmed with rants about Bible thumpers ruining small-town values. Private messages used language that made even his allies squirm. More chilling were the deleted posts, recovered by cyber forensics. Old man comes in with that cross like he owns the place. Time to remind him who runs this town. Community meeting tomorrow. Some examples need to be made. These people only learn when things get physical. Sheriff Hayes's role emerged, too. Patterns of deliberate neglect. Incident reports filed but never investigated. Complaints stamped misunderstanding with no follow-up. Media inquiries brushed off. When pressed by federal investigators, Hayes admitted she'd received over a dozen complaints of anti-Christian harassment in 18 months. Her response? Nothing. Witnesses began speaking. Janet Williams, a bank teller, produced internal documents showing Brad's loan paperwork referenced unwelcome demographic shifts caused by religious fanatics buying property. Carlos Rodriguez revealed he'd been compiling his own records for 6 months because official channels were useless. Mrs. Patterson, the mayor's wife, dropped the bombshell. Her husband had received multiple complaints and deliberately ignored them. He said it wasn't worth the political cost, she confessed. He knew people would blame him for drawing federal attention. The audit revealed systemic rot. Federal funding for community policing had been siphoned elsewhere. Compliance reports were fabricated. Grant applications boasted faith outreach programs that never existed. Local journalists uncovered the wider web. Maplewood wasn't unique. 7 neighboring towns showed the same patterns: coordinated social media groups, aligned legal strategies, political donations, weaving officials together, county by county. The exclusion was organized, funded, intentional. Dr. Rebecca Martinez, a civil rights attorney, arrived with her team to represent victims. This is a modern version of sundown town tactics, she told reporters. Instead of signs saying Christians aren't welcome, you see systematic harassment, economic pressure, and official indifference. It's the same message: stay silent or get out. The scope was staggering. Financial ledgers, email chains, private chats, sworn testimony, all pointing to deliberate, calculated discrimination meant to push Christians out of public and economic life. Community members organized in response. The Maplewood Unity Coalition formed, led by Maria Santos, Fire Chief Rodriguez, Mrs. Patterson, Pastor Allen from First Baptist, and Rabbi Sarah Miller offering interfaith solidarity. Their mission wasn't just justice for Sam Walker. It was dismantling the entire system of exclusion. But as the evidence mounted, Brad Morrison realized his nightmare had only begun. Anonymous threats started hitting investigators' hotel phones. Heavy breathing, distorted voices. Stop digging. Some things don't need to see daylight. 72. Hours after the diner assault, Sam Walker's quiet life crumbled. The calls began at 3 a.m., mocking his prayers, cursing his faith. Your boy can't protect you forever, preacher man. We know where you live. Accidents happen to loud Christians. The harassment escalated. Garbage scattered across his lawn every dawn. His mailbox smashed with a baseball bat, and every time he bent to clean up, his cross necklace glinted in the morning light, a quiet reminder of the faith that made him both a target and unbreakable. Blood-red letters defaced. Sam's garage door. Keep your cross out. Worse than the property damage was the isolation. Neighbors crossed the street to avoid eye contact. The grocery clerk pretended not to see him. His Tuesday coffee routine at Murphy's became impossible. Maria Santos faced her own terror campaign. Anonymous messages flooded her social media. Immigration papers can vanish fast if you defend church people. Another read, Your work schedule and home address are public now. Her followers were hit with coordinated harassment. Fake accounts posted her personal details. Deep fake videos circulated online showing Maria smashing windows and spray painting walls. Tommy Carter's college life crumbled. His email was hacked, sending anti-Christian hate memes to professors. His academic records leaked. Imposter accounts posted threats in his name. These weren't random trolls. The cyber attacks were sophisticated, organized. Someone with resources wanted witnesses silenced. Sheriff Hayes visited Sam privately. No body camera. Look, Sam, this has gone too far. Maybe consider dropping charges. For everyone's sake. For whose sake? Sam asked. The town's. People are getting hurt. Property values falling. Businesses suffering. Because I got assaulted? Because you made it public. Some things are better handled quietly. You're asking me to let an attack slide because it was against a Christian? Hayes looked away. I'm asking you to think about consequences. I am, Sam said firmly. That's why I won't back down. Mayor Thompson bypassed Sam and called James directly. Director Walker, your father is creating divisions. Maybe some family influence could resolve this quietly. Are you asking me to interfere with a federal investigation? James's voice was sharp. Some situations require flexibility. You're calling felony assault a minor incident? The call ended. Thompson had made it worse. Brad Morrison's legal team went on the attack. They filed nuisance suits, defamation claims against Maria, copyright complaints against Tommy, and business interference charges against Unity Coalition supporters. The goal was clear: bankrupt the witnesses into silence. Meanwhile, Sam's health slipped. His blood pressure spiked. Sleep was impossible. His doctor prescribed medication. At 2 a.m. Friday, Sam sat alone in his kitchen, staring at his Purple Heart and the silver cross resting against it. For the first time, doubt crept in. Maybe Hayes was right. Maybe fighting back was hurting innocent people. Maria could lose her job. Tommy's education might collapse. His phone rang. James, Dad, I'm driving up. Don't argue. Son, I'm tired. Maybe this isn't worth it. What did you tell me when Bobby Martinez bullied kids at school? James reminded him. Sam remembered. Bullies only stop when someone stands up. If you stay quiet, nothing changes. The next person might not have a son who can help. James arrived at 4 a.m. He found his father in the dark. Looking older than 72, they're trying to break you. Dad, that's what bullies do when they can't win fair. But I'm bringing trouble to good people, Sam said. If you surrender, those people will face the same thing next time. Without cameras, without protection, without justice. The father-son conversation became the turning point. Sam's resolve solidified. Evidence tampering began immediately. Murphy's security system suffered a catastrophic failure. Sheriff's files were mysteriously deleted. County servers crashed during scheduled updates. Someone was pouring serious money into covering tracks. Direct threats hit Homeland Security. Federal families aren't immune to accidents. A security detail was assigned to Sam. His privacy vanished. Agents shadowed him everywhere. The community split into armed camps. Pro-Sam supporters held candlelight vigils. Anti-Sam factions spread rumors of federal occupation. Financial pressure mounted. Brad's allies filed endless legal motions. Court dates multiplied. Legal fees skyrocketed. Just when Sam thought surrender was inevitable, an unexpected ally appeared. On day 5, a knock at Sam Walker's door. Dr. Rebecca Martinez, civil rights attorney with the state ACLU, stood on his porch. She wasn't alone. Beside her was Marcus Allen, a cybersecurity specialist and fellow veteran. One veteran for another, Marcus said simply. Within hours, he recovered what everyone believed had been destroyed forever. Despite the crashed security system at Murphy's Diner, Marcus found something the saboteurs missed: an automatic cloud backup. Every deleted file, every lost clip, every accidental server crash, none of it mattered. The system updated every 30 minutes. Amateur hour, Marcus muttered, pulling up pristine footage of Brad Morrison's assault. They nuked the locals but forgot about the cloud. Dr. Martinez spread the new evidence across Sam's kitchen table. Then came the real shocker, from Maria's phone case. Her cousin had secretly installed a tiny hidden camera for her safety after previous threats. The device, smaller than a quarter, captured Brad Morrison's immediate words after the slap. "Get me Mayor Thompson on the phone," Brad hissed to his assistant. We need to control this narrative before it explodes nationally. It was the smoking gun. Proof of premeditation and conspiracy. Marcus's digital forensics uncovered more devastation. Phone records showed 47 calls between Brad and Mayor Thompson in just 3 days following the assault. A private group chat of Maplewood business leaders laid bare the agenda. Phase 1 working perfectly. 3 Christian businesses closed this year. Property values stabilizing in target neighborhoods. Need to maintain pressure on the remaining problem residents. Small gestures send big messages. If the old man's family has connections, we handle it like the others. Money talks louder than justice. Janet Williams, the bank teller, brought forward internal documents that shattered Brad's defense. His loan applications referred to demographic concerns about too many churches and religious families moving into town. Meeting minutes from the bank discussed maintaining community standards through selective lending. The financial conspiracy was massive. Property development deals hinged on suppressing Christian-owned businesses. Insurance claims filed by those businesses showed suspicious denials. City contracts funneled toward firms aligned with the exclusion campaign. The veteran network mobilized nationwide. Retired Colonel Sarah Davis issued a statement. American veterans don't abandon each other. Sam Walker served his country with honor. We stand with him. Social media roared. Veterans for Sam trended nationally. Military bases circulated Sam's story. VA hospitals posted messages of solidarity. Dr. Martinez built a legal war room. Federal civil rights prosecutors joined. Military legal advocates offered pro bono services. Media law specialists shielded witnesses from online smear campaigns. Maria Santos found her voice. Her Unity Coalition video went viral. I'm not just fighting for my job. I'm fighting for every person who's ever been told they don't belong in their own hometown because of what they believe. Tommy Carter's student documentary transformed into a full-scale investigation. He added interviews with displaced Christian families, historical footage of exclusion tactics, and expert commentary on modern civil rights violations. The tide shifted. Dr. Martinez filed restraining orders against the harassment campaigns. The nuisance lawsuits collapsed in court, dismissed with prejudice. Federal protection extended to all witnesses. Marcus upgraded everyone's defenses, not with government agents, but with private security veterans who volunteered to stand watch. The intimidation stopped overnight when harassers realized they were being surveilled. The evidence vault grew daily. Hours of video documenting harassment 200. Pages of sworn testimony, financial records spanning 3 years, digital communications coordinating pressure. Campaigns expert analysis confirming. Systemic faith-based discrimination. Independent. Journalists swarmed Maplewood. National civil rights groups sent representatives. The story had grown beyond one diner, one slap, one town. It had become a referendum on how America treats its faithful citizens in the places they call home. Legal scholars began weighing in, publishing articles and op-eds. What started as a small-town assault case had become a national case study in modern resistance to religious discrimination. Sam regained his strength as the outpouring of support grew. I thought I was fighting alone, he admitted. But I see now this was never just about me. The opposition's strategy had backfired spectacularly. Their harassment campaign generated more evidence. Their nuisance lawsuits drew more attention. Their financial intimidation triggered a federal investigation into economic crimes. Then came the final blow. Mrs. Patterson, the mayor's wife, revealed she had been secretly recording her husband's phone calls for months, documenting his role in the conspiracy. I couldn't stay silent. While my husband enabled systematic discrimination against Christians, she confessed to. Investigators, her recordings exposed. Coordination between city officials, business leaders, and law enforcement to maintain exclusion of Christians from public and economic life. The town meeting was scheduled for Friday night. Both sides prepared for the final confrontation. The pro-justice coalition held documented evidence, sworn testimony, legal firepower, and national support. They offered reconciliation, acknowledgement, accountability, and reform. The resistance faction clung to last-ditch intimidation, economic fear tactics, political pressure campaigns, anonymous threats against community leaders. but their grip was broken. Too many people had found courage. Too much evidence was in the open. Too many allies had joined. The night before the meeting, someone leaked Brad Morrison's private messages. Screenshots spread across every platform. His true feelings about Christians, his coordination with officials, his smug celebrations of driving faith-based businesses out of town, it was all laid bare. Day 6 detonated like a bomb in Maplewood. At 6 a.m., Tommy Carter dropped a documentary trailer on YouTube, The Sam Walker Story, When Faith Meets Power, 500,000 views in 6 hours. 1 million by noon. The comments poured faster than moderators could manage. Justice for Sam trended nationwide alongside Maplewood accountability. Celebrity endorsements rolled in. Athletes, musicians, and even veterans groups amplified the story. The leaked screenshots spread at the same time. These Christians need to learn their place. Small actions send big messages. If we don't keep standards, property values will collapse. The old man just got lucky with his son's connections. Most don't have that. The anti-Christian bigotry was undeniable. The coordination was documented. The conspiracy was exposed. Reverend Johnson organized an interfaith prayer vigil that drew 300 people from 5 counties. Veterans in dress uniforms stood as an honor guard. Local business owners attended, many publicly, for the first time. Media coverage was extensive, respectful, unrelenting. The economic backlash hit immediately. Murphy's Diner lost 60% of its business overnight as boycotts spread. Corporate headquarters received thousands of angry emails and initiated a review of the franchise agreement. Competing diners saw customers surge. Maria Santos launched Truth from the Front Lines on Instagram Live, gaining 50,000 regular viewers. She hosted daily updates from Maplewood, witness interviews, healing conversations, and lessons in civil rights history. Viewers began sharing their own stories of being pushed out of communities for their faith. The hashtag, #RespectOurElders, gained new depth, uniting generations of believers who had quietly endured harassment. Tommy Carter's journalism project became Small Town. Big Courage, a live-streamed series that humanized the struggle through expert commentary, legal process breakdowns, and community voices. State-level politicians couldn't ignore it anymore. The governor issued a statement supporting the federal investigation. The Civil Rights Commission launched a broader inquiry into discrimination patterns in rural America. The Tourism Board quietly distanced itself from Maplewood's leadership. National attention intensified when congressional representatives issued statements supporting Sam Walker. The Department of Veterans Affairs offered resources. National civil rights organizations mobilized their networks. Corporate accountability accelerated. Murphy's Diner's CEO was forced to issue a public apology and announce mandatory religious tolerance and diversity training across all franchises. A community investment fund launched with $500,000 earmarked for inclusive economic development. Local business pressure mounted. The Chamber of Commerce called emergency meetings. Property developers reassessed Maplewood investments. Insurance companies reviewed liability exposure tied to discriminatory practices. Federal regulators scrutinized lending patterns at local banks. The counter-movement tried its final push. A Save Our Community rally was scheduled to compete with the town meeting. Outside political groups arrived with professional organizers. Social media filled with disinformation. Claims of federal overreach, constitutional violations, conspiracies about religious extremists staging events. But the narrative collapsed. Too much evidence was public. Too many local voices demanded justice. Too many allies had joined. Security concerns escalated as extremist groups threatened to disrupt the town meeting. Federal authorities monitored encrypted channels. Local police requested state backup. Community leaders organized peaceful protection. By dawn, downtown Maplewood overflowed with national media trucks. Residents poured in from surrounding counties. Legal teams finalized their presentations. Sam Walker stood at his kitchen window, his American flag pin aligned precisely on his cardigan, his cross necklace glinting faintly. Today, Maplewood would choose its future. Today, dignity would face down hatred under the glare of the nation. The backup Brad Morrison never anticipated had arrived. Not just federal badges or powerful connections, but an entire movement of Americans who believed faith and justice were not negotiable. PM, Maplewood Community Center, 400 seats, 600 people crammed inside. Overflow crowds watched live streams on their phones outside. National media filled designated sections. Security was visible but calm. Sam Walker entered with quiet dignity. His flag pin and cross necklace caught the lights. Half the auditorium rose in a standing ovation. Sam nodded respectfully and took his front row seat. Behind him sat Maria Santos, Tommy Carter, Fire Chief Rodriguez, and Mrs. Patterson, the Unity Coalition in full force. Brad Morrison entered with his legal team, face gray, shoulders slumped. He avoided eye contact. His expensive watch dragged on his wrist, his gold rings dulled under the lights. Federal mediator Linda Hayes called the meeting to order. Experienced, calm, her voice carried authority. We are here to address the assault on Mr. Sam Walker and determine this community's response. Evidence will be presented. All voices will be heard. Round 1. Video evidence. Tommy Carter's documentary clips rolled on massive screens. The original diner footage played in full, unedited. Security camera angles showed Brad's aggression from every side. Enhanced audio captured each taunt, Brad mocking Sam's prayers, sneering at his cross. Then the slap. Then Brad's immediate whisper to his assistant, "Get me Mayor Thompson." "We need to control this before it goes national." Gasps rippled across the room. Some of Brad's supporters shifted uncomfortably. Cell phones recorded every second. Round 2, pattern documentation. Dr. Rebecca Martinez took the microphone with surgical precision. She laid out a timeline of 12 faith-based harassment incidents over 18 months. She mapped financial ties linking Brad, the mayor, and local businesses. She displayed email chains discussing pressure tactics against Christians. Expert witnesses confirmed deliberate civil rights violations. This was not random hostility, Dr. Martinez declared. This was systematic exclusion for economic gain, using fear to push Christians out of public and economic life. Testimony. Phase Maria Santos stepped to the microphone. Cameras zoomed in. Her hands were steady. "I stayed silent too long because I was afraid," she began. "Afraid of losing my job. Afraid of retaliation. But silence enables cruelty. And I will not be silent anymore when people are treated as less than human for living their faith." Applause erupted, half the crowd on its feet. Fire Chief Rodriguez testified next. "As a public servant, I failed this community by not acting on what I witnessed. I documented harassment against believers but didn't report it officially. My silence enabled escalation." He turned, looking Brad Morrison directly in the eye. "That ends today." Mrs. Patterson's testimony shattered the last defenses. "I can no longer protect my husband's political career while he enabled systematic discrimination. I heard the conversations, saw the pressure tactics, knew about the conspiracy to push Christians out of public life. Leadership means choosing what's right over what's convenient." The crowd sat in stunned silence. Sam Walker rose slowly, commanding immediate attention. His voice carried decades of dignity. "I didn't serve my country to come home and face hatred in my own town. This isn't about my son's position. It's about every parent who wants their children to live with respect." He paused. Pin drop silence. "I am willing to forgive Brad Morrison. But forgiveness requires acknowledgement. And acknowledgement requires change." Brad's lawyer whispered frantically, urging him to respond. Brad stood, face flushed. "This has been blown out of proportion. One bad moment doesn't define someone's character." Dr. Martinez calmly cut him off. "Actually, Mr. Morrison, we received new evidence this afternoon." She held up a printed email. "Sent by you 3 days before the assault." She read aloud. "Phase 1 successful. 3 Christian-owned businesses closed this year. Property values stabilizing in target areas. Tourism committee pleased with demographic management. Maintain pressure on remaining targets for Phase 2 completion." The auditorium exploded, half the crowd shocked, the other half vindicated. Brad's face went white. Even his loyal supporters stared at him in horror. Mediator Hayes restored order. "Mr. Morrison, would you like to respond?" Long silence. Brad realized he was completely isolated. "I may have used poor judgment in some communications." Sam stood again, his presence steady, his tone resolute. "Brad, the measure of a person isn't their mistakes. It's how they respond when truth comes to light. Resolution proposals, Brad. Morrison's full public apology, his resignation from all leadership, and business positions, financial restitution to affected. Families and businesses mandatory, civil rights and religious tolerance training for all city. Employees systematic changes, independent oversight of law enforcement, a civilian review board for discrimination complaints, inclusive economic development programs, and community healing initiatives. The community voted decisively 347 in favor of full accountability, 164 supporting reconciliation with strict conditions, 89 against or abstaining. Justice had won. But healing would take time. 3 months later, Maplewood was transformed. Federal civil rights charges were filed against Brad Morrison. A $2.3 million settlement compensated targeted Christian families and businesses. Federal monitors oversaw local law enforcement for 3 years. Local leadership changed completely. Mayor Thompson resigned, replaced by Maria Santos in a landslide election. Sheriff Hayes retired early, succeeded by Fire Chief Rodriguez with unanimous support. 4 new council members were elected on the Unity platform. Murphy's Diner reopened under new management, its staff required to complete tolerance and inclusion training. Within months, 3 new Christian-owned businesses opened their doors. The Community Investment Fund swelled to $500,000. Tourism rebranded Maplewood as the town where everyone belongs. Sam Walker returned to his quiet Tuesday routine. Black coffee, wheat toast. The new management never charged him. Maria balanced her duties as mayor with 1 waitress shift a week to remember where I came from. She began planning Maplewood's first Diversity and Faith Festival. Tommy Carter's documentary won a state journalism award and earned him a full scholarship. His follow-up series, Small Towns, Big Change, was picked up by a national network. The healing was real. Interfaith reconciliation services drew crowds across political lines. Brad Morrison, stripped of power, attended quietly, participating in community service without cameras. Sam became a regular guest speaker at Maplewood High School. Dignity isn't something you're given, he told students. It's something you keep. Even when the world tries to strip it away. Ripple affects 47 communities. Adopted reforms using the Maplewood model. Congressional legislation was proposed based on the legal precedents. Total video views, 12.7 million. Community funds raised. $847,000. New investigations launched in 23 states. 6 months later, Detective Angela Foster called Sam about a new case in Riverside County. Mr. Walker, we have another situation involving an elderly veteran targeted for his faith. We could use someone who understands dignity under fire. Sam looked at his American flag pin, then at the small silver cross resting just beneath it. Some fights, he said, are worth fighting twice. When do you need me? If this story moved you, share it. Subscribe for Part 2, The Riverside Investigation, because dignity, like faith, is a choice we must defend every day.